So, could be an epic fail. You never know about these things. You never know about these things. It's going to be live, and it's going to be an Obtanium build, and we're going to be back with it in just like, 5 minutes maybe. So hang around or fast forward or do whatever you do when when it's time to do the show. Where is the thing that we need? Oh, golly, we're not even ready with this. We're not even ready with this. Hold on a second. Jeez, you'd think you'd have all your ducks in a row. Tom, you've done it 1,000 times. We got to change the intro to be the right intro. That's right. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Be right back. Okay. Check, 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 check. Maybe we've got it right. Maybe we don't. Check, check, check. Yeah, I think I had accidentally adjusted all the volumes on the lark. Let's move it up one step. Maybe that'll help. Is that better? Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Could be better. Could be worse. Oh my gosh. OG, welcome. Good to see you. Glad to have you. It's been interesting to keep up with your solar and your battery build. Congratulations on that. Hey, Joe. Good to see you. Let's see if we can get some of this stuff up in the chat here. There we go. We've got a whole different setup today. Welcome, Joe. Glad to have you. Working from the work table, obviously, over here today because we're doing a build, which we don't generally do. But why not? Why not? Hold on. Trying to get things in order here. Yeah, Xavier's taking, he's taking bets. What's the line on this? If I were you, I would bet against me. That's what I would do. But then again, you know, I might just surprise you. Hello, Bill. Glad to have you. Welcome. Bill is from the Minnesota coast, Mississippi coast. So yeah, this is gonna be fun today. We're gonna do an We're gonna do an Obtanium build. vMix should not have used two words so close together when they replaced one with the other. Yeah, we're gonna do an Obtanium build, which is basically a workstation. Hello, Otis. Good to see you. Glad to have you. Welcome. Maybe more than once. Smoke may come out of the box a time or two. We'll see. I guarantee you the smoke will not come out of the box until the power supply is connected. Thank you, OG. OG. I appreciate your faith in me. Misfounded as it is. Yep. So got all this cool stuff here. And you know it's going to be epic when you see one of these. This plugs into the graphics card, and it's got not one, not two, but 3 connectors going into it. Golly, this is going to be a beast. This is going to be a beast. It's going to smoke itself. That's where the smoke's going to come from, the graphics card. Holy cow. And we've got a W5 2565X, which is the largest CPU I've ever seen in my life. And a 89-pound graphics card. It's a 4080 Super, which is what vMix recommends. So we'll see. We'll see. Definitely faith. Definitely faith. It'll have to be on faith and experience. And experience builds faith. You know, if you're successful once, you probably have faith that you can be successful again. That's the way faith works. Faith is kind of like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the bigger it gets. At least that's been my impression. Okay, let's see. $1 million. Oh my gosh. It will not sell for $1 million. Although some people might feel like it is by the time we price it out. We'll put these in our store at some point. But let's get one built and see what happens. Not sure that we're going to finish the build today. You know how that stuff goes. I'll work as fast as I can. In fact, let's get the show started. Excuse me. And we'll see what happens. Shall we? Let's go. $1 million. Yeah. So today we're doing an Obtanium. Did it wrong again. Scratch that. Cut. Second take. Today we're doing, oh, it was Obtanium. I was right. You know, sometimes you're good and you just don't know it and you think you've screwed up, but you were really good. Does that ever happen to you? Happens to me on occasion, not very often. So we're here in the studio today. We're actually in the workshop portion. We're in one of the two. We're actually in the build portion. The workshop portion is back there. The build portion is here. And so we're going to build this, or at least start building. We'll get as far as we can today. Building a Obtanium PC based on the vMix specs. And I have repurposed my PTZ optics. What do you call that thing? PTZ optics. No. It's a Bird Dog. It's a P120. That's what it is. I've repurposed my Bird Dog P120 as the overhead camera. And so we're going to use that as the overhead camera so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And I think this is going to be the right zoom, but I may have to zoom in a little bit. So I'm actually kind of working with a remote desktop. You can see the keyboard and mouse here. And I've got my big screen TV kind of repurposed as a multi-use but single monitor. So yeah, there we go. So let's see what we can do with this, shall we? So first of all, we need a razor knife because we're going to open all this stuff. We're not going to open that. We're going to open this, and we'll worry about catching serial numbers later. And we'll open this. And we'll open this. And I may have to go into the storeroom and get some RAM. But, so this is kind of like an unboxing video at the same time as everything else. 1,000-watt power supply from ASUS. It is a modular beast. So it means we can plug things into it as we need to. That's what I love about that. There we go. So we'll keep that handy. And all the power cables that come with it. It's got a bunch of them. And then, of course, the power cord. And we'll get rid of the box. So let's put this guy back over here. Over here, we've got the cooler, because we're going to have 360 liquid cooling. 360 being millimeters, not being angles or degrees. So let's see, does that slide out? There we go. And there we go. Oh my gosh, all sorts of, let's see. So it's got 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's get that out of the way. And we'll get that out of the way. And so we've got a nice big old radiator. We're probably going to need it. And oh, by the way, when they show you these with the it says remove before cooling, don't forget to do that. Ask me how I know. Yep. And then we've got screws and attachments and all that stuff. So we'll attach that to the motherboard here in just a second. We've got our 4080 Super, which I've already unboxed. We'll set that off to the side and the cables that go with it. And we'll save the CPU for last. And we'll get the keyboard out of the way for the moment. And let's get the gigabyte motherboard. Now this is a workstation model, so it's going to be a little different than what we might be used to seeing or playing with. It doesn't have any kind of nice decals and stickers and all this fancy stuff. in here because it assumes you've already graduated past decals and stickers. And so you're getting the motherboard. And what are we getting with the motherboard? We are getting a nice little box that opens a bunch of different ways. Peel it open, and there we go. So we've got, looks like SATA power and some other little heat sinks. And what is that going to be for? Oh, that's the CPU holder. And then the back plate, and then an assembly manual. That's all you get. So let's get that out of the way. And we'll get this out of the way. We'll keep all that handy. We'll need it. And let's take a second to, yep. So we'll leave the foam here. And let's take the plastic off the motherboard. I washed my hands previously, but I'm not a believer in gloves, believe it or not. I don't think static is everything it used to be. Okay, so we've got a sticker here that says battery. Aha, okay, well, good. We'll stick that sticker aside. So we did get a sticker. That's where the CPU goes. Those are our RAM slots. Those are our PCIe slots. Boy, we got a bunch of them. Let's see, at least 15, it looks like. And then power. And one of the things I love about this particular board is that it's got two 10G NICs and that's either a 2.5G or a 1G NIC. And then it's a motherboard. I mean, it's a workstation board, so it's got a way to plug into a dumb monitor if needed. And we will go from there. All right, so let's see. Oh, let's go and open our CPU next. That's going to be fun. This is like a CPU built for a battleship. Yeah, don't drop it, Tom. That's not a good idea. There we go. There we go. And we see we've got some. Oh, we've got another frame that comes with it, and a book, and another sticker. There we go. We got a Xeon sticker to go with our Xeon chip. And what do we get to? There we are. There we are. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Look at the size of that sucker. It is a heavyweight. It is a Intel Xeon W5 2565X, and then a bunch of other numbers, that none of which are the serial number, by the way. I think one of the numbers is a portion of the serial number, but the serial number is, where is it? It's off to the side somewhere. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll make a note of it later. So we need to start out by getting this guy. I mean, look at this guy. He's massive. He's massive. It's got like 1,000 pins on the back. Actually, like 4,000, almost 5,000 pins. So let's see if we can get this little guy off and set him aside. And then take a look at the motherboard. Make sure we don't have any bent pins. That's the first thing I check for. Sometimes in the side reflection, we can see what looks like bent pins. But when we look at it straight on, they aren't bent. Nope, there's one there that could be bent. Or is that just a piece of fluff? I think it was a piece of fluff. All right, well, we'll see what we can find out. Okay. Now, I think, what do we do next? We don't have a ramrod to hold it in like you do with a regular CPU. So let's go ahead and open this rascal up and pop it in there. Do we have a fitment indicator of any kind? We're looking for, yeah, there we go. There's a little triangle here, and there's a little triangle. Where is it? Come on. Oh, yeah, right there. A little triangle right there and a little triangle right there. So that tells us where we match up our triangles. Whew, holy cow. This guy is mammoth. He's mammoth. So let's slide him in there very carefully. And there's some other little fitment nodules on the side, I guess, to let you know you're in the right spot. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Now we've got this little dealie, and it has some sort of keys in it. And it says to press. Press and press. Are these identical? They look to be. LGA 4677 E1A, and they both say the same thing. So we'll keep one for later, and we'll use one now. And oh, and here's our little diamond, our little triangle again. So that indicates that that's going to go on like that, or right there. Yep. And then will it just snap in? So far, we haven't really attached anything to hold the CPU down. We've got all sorts of rods and threaded rods here. But we'll just have to see if that feels right. It doesn't feel right. Let's take it back off and look again. Looking at this little dooflunky right here. What could that possibly be? Maybe it is, I don't know. I don't know. Pay no attention to that noise. Press and press. So we'll press there and we'll press there. We'll just sort of press everywhere. We may have to investigate a video on this rascal. Let's look at the cooler and see if we've got any piece parts here that would be helpful to us so far as getting this guy mounted. So that's all we got there. Boy, this video may be really short because that just does not look very secure. All right, 2 indel brackets, another motherboard type bracket, some AMD brackets. We know we don't need those. 4 thumb screw caps. We may need those. 4 AMD screws. We don't need those. LG 120 screws. We don't need those. Chassis screws. We'll hang on to those. 4 LGA 1851 screws. That's what we need. And then some bracket screws. So we're going to have to look in the instructions on this one. Maybe we'll get some tips there, although we probably could look in the motherboard instructions too. So let's see. Can we get the instructions out of the box? And then let's look at it. Isn't this exciting? This is warranty information. No help here. No help with the warranty information. Was there instructions to go with this thing? What is this? It is a card. Well, I'll be darned. All right, so let's look at the CPU instructions. Oh, now we're talking. I don't think these are instructions, though. Quick installation guide. Well, there you go. All right, it does show a heatsink. So right here, the illustrations of the heatsink installation are shown for reference only. Well, no, I think we really need some help. All right, so it's showing putting the CPU in and putting the little plastic retainer, and 3 taking off a plastic retainer. Oh, I don't get that. Oh, maybe do you take the whole thing out at this point? No. No. Okay. Well, boy, that's not helpful at all. Look at that. Does it have any written instructions in English? No, I don't think it has any written instructions in any language. Okay, well, this is definitely for somebody that's done this before. Just looking at it here. So do you attach the CPU to the heatsink? I don't think this cooler is going to be big enough. It says it will fit, but shoot, that doesn't look big enough at all. We may have to rethink that process. So let's see. Let's do this again. We're just going to put that sucker down there. And for right now, it's just, you know, it's just gravity holding that in. There is nothing holding that in at all. Is there an Intel bracket? It says 2 Intel brackets, but those are not going to fit either way right there, so they're no help. And now we've got a LGA. Oh, this is 1851. Oh, no, this is the wrong cooler. This is the wrong cooler. I was thinking about this is for a different build altogether. This is for a different build altogether. We don't have a cooler for this rascal. We're going to have to get one. Well, phoo. That was a short build. All right. Well, let's see. Let's see what else we can do while we're here. We've got RAM we can put in. We've got a M.2 drives we can put in. But this rascal's not flying today. How disappointing. How disappointing. All right, let's just see if we can, what kind of cooler we can find real quick. Bear with me. Face ID. Yep, there we go. So we're looking for a CPU cooler for a, do we want to give it the 4677? 4677. Let's see what we get. There we go. There's one. There's one. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Well, okay. So there's the one we need. It was probably the one that vMix specified, the Silverstone Tech XE360. And how quickly can we get one? Can we get one in like 20 minutes? We can get one by Friday. Huh. Okay, well, let's go ahead and add that to the cart. And get it on its way. Yeah, doggone it. You know, it's one of those things where you think you know more than you know. or in my case, it's even worse. All right, what else do we need here? What else do we need here? Let's get the, hold on a second. I'll be right back. I mean, I'm not going very far. So I just want to get the specs for the system and see what we told folks we were going to put in the system. And we do a run sheet on every system. So, oh yeah, there's the cooler, all right. And so we want a terabyte and a 2 terabyte and a 4080 and 2 Blackmagic Decklink Quad 2s and Windows 11, of course, Pro, and 64 gigs of DDR5. Well, let's see if we've got 64 gigs of DDR5 on hand. If not, we'll just put in what we have and we can add it later. And we've got the, I think we've got the drives on hand. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's see what we can do, at least to make our time not totally wasted. Although I do feel like it's pretty totally wasted. Yep. All right. It's nice to have this little closet back here where I can put all these goodies. There's a 2 terabyte, and there's a 1 terabyte. All right, we're in business. And I just remembered I have RAM on the way. So we'll do what we can with what we got, and then we won't have to do it again later. So we've got RAM. I've just got 16 gigs here on the shelf. Well, I'm just going to put 16 in right now. Let's put it that way. That'll get us up and get us going when we get a cooler. And we want to be careful as to where we put this RAM in. It tells us that we've got AOBOCODO and EOFOGOHO. All right. So we're going to have to do a little bit of research and find out what slots the RAM go in. But I'm just going to guess at this point. And let's see if we even got the right kind of RAM. Should be. Nope. Well, this is a very fast, yep, we got the wrong RAM too. So, let's move on. Let's move on to solid state drives, shall we? We'll say, oh no, you're not allowed to put solid state drives in this, on this motherboard. Like, well, the specs said I could. Let's see. The RAM is going to go, I mean, the drives are going to go there. But are they too large for, no, that's the right size. That's going to go there, and we've got a heat sink for it. And the screws are already mounted in there. So let's add a screwdriver. So whoever bet $1 million won. whoever bet against him lost $1 million. There we go. This is kind of an interesting little screw. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a shoulder on it that'll hold this heat sink. And so let's see, how is that? Am I going to have to put that in now? Yeah. So let's go ahead and whip the plastic off the back and get the heatsink going in with the card. Let's see if we can get them all to go in the right slot at the right time in the right place. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right, that was the 2 terabyte. I'll set that box aside. And this is the 1 terabyte. Set that box aside. And we'll pull off the paper. There we go. Come on. Static electricity. That I said wasn't going to bother me. There we go. In the slot. That's good. And then this tab goes in that tab right there. Yep. Then the screw goes through both of them. There we go. And in it goes there. We're done. We may be done with all we can do. Let's set this aside for a sec. This is kind of an interesting little deal. That is that's not a power supply. That's a SATA connector. So if we had SATA drives, we would use this to power up to, to connect 4 of them. And where does this connector fit in? Fits in right there, I bet. Let's see. So that's got about 20 pins on it. Whoa! That could have been disaster. That was not among smart things that I've done. Make sure we didn't do any damage there. Pins look good. Let's try that one again. So that one looks like it plugs in here. If we were to have SATA. Yeah, it says SATA right on it. Okay. So that would allow us to have up to 8 SATA drives if we wanted them. We're not going to be using SATA drives in this build, so we don't have to worry about that. What else is cool about this board that we might like? How many fan headers do we have? Here's a header here for the CPU fan, which is slightly bent. And audio, not sure what that is. It says USB. That says, we'll have to look. Do we have a diagram on the motherboard to show what these things are? Yeah, there we go. So 32 is an NC SI connector. All right, not something we're likely to use. 31 is an IPMB connector right there. 30 is a system fan connector. Okay, well that looks like a normal fan connector. Yeah, there we go. And then we've got a bunch of fan connectors down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another fan connector here. 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fan connectors. That's awesome. What do we have so far is optional CPU connectors. Anything? No, don't see it. That says system fan, system fan, system fan, system fan, system fan. Okay. All right, so we'll go with that. That's system fan. Interesting. That's going to be the front panel connector. All right. Well, this is a bust. Hate to say it, but it's true. That's what I get for assuming. Yep. And it was 2 10 gig NICs and a gig NIC, not 2.5. Well, there we go. There we go. I guess we ended pretty quickly. So make sure you know what you're getting into before you get into it. So this is a good example. I had no, can't do that. I had the wrong CPU cooler. It's actually for a whole nother build. The wrong RAM. I've got the right graphics card, the right power supply, the right motherboard, the right CPU. But we're not going to get much further than we are today. I don't want to do power cables yet until I get the system built a little bit more, because I don't have to work around them later, especially the CPU cooler. That's the one that tends to be kind of cumbersome in building out of the box like this. It's cumbersome to go ahead and get the cooler hooked up, because it's not this particular one, but it will have lines and a radiator and a water block, and it will be a pain in the butt. A pain in the butt. Well, let's switch over to the post show, and we'll talk about this and how I'm such an idiot. Shall we do that? So let's go. So let's get that graphic off the screen. So yeah, let's see. What do we got? What did we miss in the social comments? Right here. We'll revisit this one. No, not letting any smoke out today. So I guess you could call that a win. Yeah. Otis asked the specs. Otis, the specs for this build are, I think, almost exactly, or they will be almost exactly, the vMix Obtanium specs on the vMix website. So if you want to find that, let's see, what do you do to go to vMix? We should know that off the top of our heads. We've got a keyboard around here somewhere. Goodness, excuse me. Great day. All right, vMix. And so when you get the vMix website, you go to products and then reference systems and then Obtanium. And that will give you the stuff you need. And there's a long list. We've got the Gigabyte motherboard. We've got the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 Super graphics card. We've got the Silverstone case. We've got the Samsung 2 terabyte and 1 terabyte solid state drives. We're going with the Asus power supply. The capture cards are going to be the Blackmagic DeckLink quads. We'll have 2 of those. The quad 2, so it's two 8-channel HD SDI, so a total of 16. And then the Xeon W5-2565X CPU, and then the special cooler that goes with it that's on the website, and then 64 gigs of DDR5. Oh, it's DDR5 RDIMM. Okay, there you go. And Windows 11. So yeah, we'll get that all ordered and put together. We will get that ordered and put together. So let's see, what else did we miss here? Yeah, Otis, I wouldn't be taking notes if I were you. All right, so TRYX, Trix, so it's a nice 360 millimeter cooler. Yeah, it wouldn't fit on here. And Xavier, thank you for the sound effects. Womp, 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 womp. Okay, and Wendy's has some advice here. In case anyone is curious, if you're running a Blackmagic SDI capture card and not using the latest drivers with vMix or higher, not sure what you mean by vMix or higher, we'll go nuts. We'll crash Windows. That may have been somebody's experience, but we do it all the time. I mean, we have clients that are upgrading to the latest version of Windows without updating their Blackmagic driver and not having any problems. So I think that there may be some cases where that's true, but I don't know that that's a universal. I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out if it's universal. If this has been reported a bunch on the vMix forum, that would be a place to look and see. Let's just see if forums are mentioning that. Go to forums, and we want to search for, well, let's just go to the general discussion and see what we see. Looking in the last 2 weeks, I'm not seeing anything about crashes. Let's just do a search for crash. CHARSH. Yep. Okay. All right, there's somebody posted 12 days ago about something to do with Zoom and a crash. And somebody had a laptop that was crashing. Why was that crashing? Something to do with SRT to an Epiphan cloud. And then somebody else is using the 2023 version of Windows UTC. And there's a crash. And there's another person with the UTC problem. Yeah, I'm not seeing that this is a common issue on vMix, at least that's being reported. But, you know, I appreciate the heads up, and we will we'll keep an eye out for that problem. Yeah, we will. All right. Did I use PC Part Picker? I did not. I used Tom's Seat of the Pants Part Picker. Actually, truth be told, I had not planned on doing this today. And I decided at the last minute, let's go ahead and do this. This will be a lot of fun. People will be interested in it. And I had a stack of gear for this build. I'm actually building 2 of them, and didn't realize that I didn't have the RAM. And the mistake on the CPU cooler was on me. So, yeah, there you go. Have I ever had a Blackmagic SDI capture blow up? Never had one blow up. Thank goodness. Or go out. No. No. Well, I take that back. I had a Blackmagic Decklink mini recorder that gave up the ghost. It was about 8 years old, and I think it just finally just died. And we did we updated the drivers, restarted the PC, and tried to get it to do the you know, kind of the firmware update, but it never did. So it went the way of all flesh in the trash. But I haven't had any others that have had an issue like that. You know, Otis, that's the name of the show. This with the emphasis on idiots. Yes. HJB, what do you got? What is your go-to SDI HDMI capture card? Don't have one. Don't have one. I don't have one card that I like that does both. And frankly, the calls for HDMI capture are so few these days. I mean, it used to be that HDMI capture was pretty much anybody that was doing churches, that's all they wanted was HDMI capture, because they had a lot of kind of prosumer video cameras that they were using that only had HDMI out. And so they wanted HDMI capture. But most everybody we're dealing with now is just SDI capture. And if they need an HDMI, they'll just convert it with a converter. So far as SDI capture, we're pretty much using Blackmagic all the time. Now, I take that back with what I just said. We have one client that works with schools all over the United States building studios, and we'll build PCs for them and equip that PC with a 4-port HDMI capture card. But it's an OEM kind of card that we buy in bulk out of China. And we've got a stack of them on the shelf that are just waiting for the next studio build. But other than that, it's as Bill says, it's NDI here in the studio or SDI. I mean, well, check that. Here in the studio, it's all NDI. You know, the overhead camera is NDI today. This camera right here is NDI. What else? We did have an SDI overhead camera that is a PTZ Optics box cam with the manual zoom and manual focus. And once we put it up there, we realized it was too cumbersome to be able to try to zoom on something. So if I wanted to go back and zoom in, where is it here? Come on, Tom, you can find it. There we go. If I wanted to zoom in on this shot right here, it wasn't ever going to happen because I'd have to get the ladder out and go up and get it. Whereas, you know, with the PTZ camera, I can just tell it to zoom, and, you know, and there we are, we're zoomed. It's a 20x zoom. That's a pretty good little zoom. And we can see quite a bit. Yeah, I need to use that probably more. Can we do a position thing? And I'll just drag this. Oops. Just drag. Oh, I can't drag all that. Well, we'll come back to it. Yep. We'll go back there. Won't worry about that now. Won't worry about that now. Decklink 8K Pro G2. However, it's only 3 in if you use the HDMI input. Well, there you go. Never used it. Never used it. Never used it. Xavier used 4 different VM cards over the last 3 years, rock solid. Do most people run separate NICs in vMix machines for NDI? That's a great question. Wendy's, I think for folks that are doing remote gigs that may use the venue internet, but they're going to set up their own network for their NDI cameras, they may use more than one NIC. But they're certainly not using the house network. I mean, I helped somebody do a beauty pageant here locally, and we used the internet from the venue, but we set up our own network, but we plugged their internet into our network. So, because we only had one NIC. And I guess it just depends on what level of security you may need, you know, what concerns you might have about somebody else accessing your network. Yeah. What is the one feature you wish vMix would have that is currently not available? Oh, that's easy. A green room. I'd like to have a green room where I mean, I know you can use vMix shortcuts and inputs and outputs from vMix Call and from Zoom, but I would definitely like to have a green room where I can, or maybe more than one green room, where I can put all the troublemakers in one room and I can talk to people in another room. And again, certainly possible to set that up with a bunch of shortcuts, but it would be much easier for newbies and oldie newbies like me to do that if it were just already set up. What do you guys think? Bill likes the built-in green room. And it's funny, you know, vMix has suffered the way a lot of softwares. I was talking to somebody on Sunday about ProPresenter, how ProPresenter, you know, used to be a nice little tool. It was easy to use. You could understand it. And then once it got out there and got successful, everybody wanted a little something added to it. And so it got bigger and better. And especially for those folks that were there from the very beginning that already knew the basics, you know, the add-ons were not confusing. They picked the ones they wanted and ignored the rest. But for newbies coming in, it's all these buttons and windows and commands, and yeah, it can be a little intimidating. And vMix has tried hard to help avoid that by not changing their interface. As a result, their interface looks, you know, kind of 1990s, a little clunky, but that's okay, because functionally it is the latest, greatest. And so it would be like, you know, imagine if you were an airline pilot and your single engine Cessna was set up in such a way that all the same dials and controls would be the same if you migrate it into a Boeing 737. Maybe that's a bad choice, 747. And so your learning time would be, you know, not a whole lot. I mean, obviously the 747 is going to do more, but basically it looks like a familiar cockpit. vMix has done the same thing, and I really give them a big thumbs up for that. Really give them a big thumbs up for that. Don't you have troublemakers? We always have troublemakers. Xavier says multicam only allows the input or master audio. Yeah. Yeah. Easy Worship is one I've seen. Yeah. That is so true, Bill. It really is. You've got to, you can't just keep up. You've got to innovate. And although, you know, well, yeah, I was going to compare it to Coca-Cola. But even Coca-Cola had, you know, they tried to innovate, what was it, 20, 30 years ago when they introduced the new Coke, which they had taste tested in crowds, and it tasted more like Pepsi than it did Coke. And all the Coke people just were like, no, don't change our Coke. Yeah. So in that case, they didn't want to innovate. Easy Worship with vMix via NDI. There you go. There you go. Yep. I was talking to somebody over the weekend visiting a church, and they're a Mac house. So all they have are Macs. And they want to do just that. They want to integrate Pro Presenter and their camera so that they can overlay screens. But I say they're a Mac house. Really, they're an ATEM house. And yeah. Yep, agreed with that. Agree with that. Oh, hello, Dewey. Dewey, actually, you didn't miss anything because the build was a fail. The parts I had that I thought were the right parts were the wrong parts. And so we didn't get any further than this. I did get a couple of drives installed, but I had the wrong RAM, and the CPU cooler was the wrong cooler. So we just sort of called it quits. So you didn't miss anything to say. Yes, Pro Presenter can output NDI, but if you're on an ATEM, you can't necessarily input NDI. Yeah. When was the last time you did a Windows 11 vMix optimization video? Never. Have never done optimization for Windows 11. Probably need to. I wonder if vMix does. I think most of the optimizations that needs to be done to the PC through Windows are still there. So far as, you know, telling it to go full power, the NVIDIA control panel to tell it to use the card at full power, those types of things. I'll have to check that. I think when we did the Windows 11 update live 2 weeks ago, I checked back afterwards, and all the optimization that I had previously done with Windows 10 carried forward to Windows 11, but I don't know if there was anything new. I don't know. I guess, you know, I figured I'd find it, whatever it was, if it was not there. Yep. All right. Well, dudes, I'm going to go order some parts. Yes, I am going to order some parts. And what else? I'm actually going to be on the road next week. So we won't be picking this back up next week, but we will pick it up in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, I'll have all the right parts. And if by some chance I get this built and shipped out, I'll try to make some recordings of what I'm doing as I'm building it so that we can talk about that in 2 weeks. What worked and what didn't work, that kind of thing. So until then, see you in 2 weeks. Appreciate you. And let's do a, do we have a thing? We have a thing. Here you go. Check you later.